So I just finished reading a research article that found that people who are more optimistic tend to be much better sleepers. Now, I think this also transfers well to people with insomnia, especially when you're thinking about or you're going through a course of cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBT-I. And I'm going to be talking about this in today's video. Hi, I'm Martin Reed. If you have insomnia, I offer sleep coaching programs that will give you all the skills and support you need to enjoy better sleep for the rest of your life. You can learn more at insomniacoach.com. So in this study, they found that people who are the most optimistic tend to be the best sleepers. And I think this really translates well to success when implementing cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBT-I techniques. And that's because in my experience, the people who are the most optimistic, in other words, the people who have more of a belief that the techniques are going to work, they are going to be effective, and perhaps those who have a slightly more positive attitude as they're going through a course of CBT-I, do tend to be the ones that are more successful. So if you haven't tried implementing CBT-I techniques, perhaps because you've been concerned that they're not going to work for you, I'd really encourage you to just look into it some more. A lot of the time when I talk to people who are quite reluctant to try the techniques, it's because either they're not really sure what they are, they can confuse CBT-I with sleep hygiene. We know that sleep hygiene doesn't work, but unfortunately it's often suggested as the first thing to try when you have insomnia. And so because you hear that it's the first thing to try over and over again, you may have the belief that it's going to work. And then when it doesn't, which is to be expected, you can just become very downcast and very pessimistic about your insomnia, believing that, well, if sleep hygiene techniques didn't work, then what else is there for me? Now, the thing with chronic insomnia is from person to person, insomnia is far more alike than different. I talk to a lot of people with insomnia on a daily basis, and I hardly ever hear something that surprises me. The triggers can be slightly different because, after all, the trigger of sleep disruption, there are as many reasons for this as there are people in the world. But the factors that perpetuate insomnia and turn it into a chronic problem are pretty much always just down to the same issues. And it's this problem with sleep drive. For example, we might be allotting too much time for sleep. It can be a body clock issue where we're getting out of bed at all different times during the day, maybe napping during the day. And then there's this big component which is arousal. And this can be anxiety about sleep, conditioned arousal, where we've learnt that the bed is a place for wakefulness and worry. All of these are the perpetuating factors of insomnia, and they're very similar from person to person. And the great thing about CBT-I is they address all of these factors. And that's why CBT-I techniques are so helpful for people with chronic insomnia. But the thing with CBT-I is you need to believe in the techniques. You need to implement them consistently if you're going to get results. So if you go into a course of CBT-I, or if you implement the techniques yourself with a pessimistic view, with the thought in advance that they're not going to work, they're not going to be helpful. If you're constantly monitoring for results or constantly monitoring for evidence that they're not working, you're going to find it really hard to be successful. So just like how this study found that, insomnia aside, people who are more optimistic tend to sleep better, in my experience, I find that people who are more optimistic in terms of CBT-I being helpful and being effective often get the best results. So if you're ready to improve your sleep for the long term, really encourage you to look into CBT-I. If you're still feeling pessimistic or you're still feeling concerned that the techniques aren't going to work for you, then reach out to someone. This could be myself or someone else who is trained in CBT-I techniques, and tell them your story and ask them whether they think that the techniques will be helpful for you. When people contact me and they tell me their story and they ask if I think CBT-I will be helpful for them, I will be honest. If I see something in their story that I think needs to be addressed first before CBT-I, I'll say that. If I don't think that CBT-I techniques will be helpful for someone in their particular circumstances, I will tell them. At the same time, if I see people and they're great candidates, it's down to me to explain why I think you would be a good candidate. And I usually do this by explaining how similar the story of insomnia is in that person to what I see in others. So if you're ready to implement CBT-I techniques, try to keep an open mind. Focus your attention on implementing the techniques rather than always looking for results. And also make sure that you are going through a course that uses a lot of the C part of CBT-I, which is the cognitive part, because it's down to people like myself, people who are coaching you or helping you implement CBT-I techniques to explain the rationale behind all the techniques, to help you identify why they can be helpful and why they should be effective. And this can really go a long way into making CBT-I a success and helping you get your sleep back on track for the long term. So I hope you found this short video helpful. If you did, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. I do try to share a few new sleep snippet videos every week. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, or suggestions for a future video, please leave a comment below, or you can contact me directly. My email address is hello@insomniacoach.com. I hope to see you back here again soon. And remember, you can sleep.